What is a ghost policy? We get that question all the time, and that's what we're going to talk about on today's video. Hey folks, Jack Wingate, and on this channel, we help individuals, families, and businesses save money on your insurance, help you understand your insurance just a little bit better, and let you know what's going on in the insurance industry. And today, we are going to tell you what a ghost policy is. Woo! Yes, a ghost policy is something that we get asked about on a daily basis. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Ghost policy doesn't exist. There is no such thing as a ghost policy. Yeah, what's happened over the years is that one person has called it a ghost policy, which led to someone else calling it a ghost policy, and so forth and so on. But really, a ghost policy is just a workers' compensation policy. There's no difference. A workers' compensation policy acts the same whether it's called a ghost policy or whether it's what some people call real workers' comp. So why is it called a ghost policy? All right. Workers' compensation is rated based upon payroll. And so you have a business, you have, let's say, some employees, you have workers' compensation, the rate is charged for whatever the class code is by the rate of the class code. So let's say you had $100,000 in payroll and your rate was $1 per $100 of payroll. It's a simple calculation. $100,000 divided by 100 and then times the rate of $1. And there's your workers' compensation premium. Well, a ghost policy has no rating basis because there are no employees. So you say, well, why would someone have workers' comp if they don't have any employees? Well, most of the time we find that contractors, HVAC contractors, plumbing contractors, electricians, carpenters, roofers, whatever, the trade contractors, a lot of times those businesses, it's just the owner. And in order for them to get a job with a general contractor, the general contractor says, hey, you've got to furnish me a certificate of insurance showing that you have workers' comp. So the owner reaches out to an agent and says, I need workers' compensation. The agent asks, how many employees you have? Well, I've got 0 employees. Well, then the owner does not have to include himself in payroll. So when you go to issue the policy, there is 0 payroll associated for the rating basis. Thus, technically, you're not covering anyone up front. However, workers' compensation policies are auditable. And although you start your ghost policy with 0 payroll, let's say sometime during the year you bring on an employee. They're automatically covered under a workers' compensation policy. They'll just pick up the payroll at audit. But here's what actually happens more times than not. You have a contractor, let's say an HVAC contractor. He's purchased a ghost policy to cover himself so he got a job. Somewhere during the year, he gets a friend, another HVAC contractor, to help him do a job. And so he pays that subcontractor of his a wage for helping him. That subcontractor, whether or not he has insurance or not, can be covered under our HVAC guy's workers' compensation. So any pay that he sends that guy, unless he has workers' compensation as well, is automatically covered. So a ghost policy could really change from the start to the end. All right, so how do you get a ghost policy? Well, most standard insurance carriers, in North Carolina at least, don't like to get on a ghost policy. Most, in fact, say that there's going to be a minimum payroll or a minimum premium associated with a workers' comp account if they're going to write it. So the majority of all ghost policies end up getting written through the North Carolina Rate Bureau. This is a market that North Carolina has set up as a market of last resort. You go through an agent such as myself. We upload your application to the North Carolina Rate Bureau, and then they assign it to one of their member carriers. And voila, you've got a workers' compensation policy, just like every other business that has a full-blown workers' comp policy, if you will. So, how much does a ghost policy cost? That's the big thing. The minimum premium for a ghost policy written through the North Carolina Rate Bureau is $1,500. That's for minimum limits. If you go up to the 1 million, 1 million, 1 million limits, the minimum premium is $1,620. And the caveat with all that is that money is due up front. There's no payments being made on it. You have to pay the entire premium up front before you can issue the policy. And while that's a big pill to swallow, that's just the cost of doing business in North Carolina. So what we want you to know moving forward is, one, a ghost policy really is just workers' compensation that doesn't include any payroll at the time that it's issued. And then two, most ghost policies have to be written through the North Carolina Rate Bureau. And as always, we suggest getting with an independent agent who can help you go through that process, because you can't do it alone. You can't personally send your own application to the North Carolina Rate Bureau, so you're going to have to bring an agent in. And then finally, there is a minimum premium that's due up front when you do these policies through the Rate Bureau, and it starts at $1,500 and can go to $1,620 if you get the higher limits. If you're a contractor in North Carolina and you have had questions about workers' compensation, whether or not you need it, or whether you should just bite the bullet and buy a ghost policy, I hope this has been helpful. If you have further questions, obviously reach out to us. We'll do our best to help you. And until next time, we'll see you later.